It's our burn book. So we cut out girls' pictures from the yearbook, and then we wrote comments.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for stopping in. I want to show you this book. Welcome to the Jule Box Studios. My name is Jules. I'm excited because I finally finished this book and it took me a couple of weeks. But I wanted to stop in and show this to you because, oh my gosh, it came out cooler than I thought it was gonna. So this is called a burn book. If you have not watched Mean Girls, you should. You should watch Mean Girls. It's not in my particular generation or my genre of movies to watch, but my niece Alyssa, it's in like her generation. She asked me to do this because I wanted to, she wants to be able to use this for one of her birthday parties. She just turned 30 in January, so I don't know if she'll do this probably for her 31st or what, but she asked me to do this for her. So the burn book for Mean Girls. This is not the size that is from the movie. I believe that one is a full like 8.5 by 11 type of book. There's not a lot of good pictures out there of it. There's a lot of like replicas. So I went to the actual photo. Let me flash it here. It's not exact, obviously, but it is pretty close, I think. The only way that I can think of doing this was using Procreate. Let me pause here for a second because Procreate is not the only way you can do this. You can also cover a chipboard book with paper and doodle it yourself if you're a good doodler. Maybe doodling with the gel pen and then using an eraser to kind of create that grungy, smeary-like texture. Then on the back side, you can use maybe a stamp of a kiss with some red ink and stamping it, and then doing the same kind of thing maybe with a light pencil, like shading and smearing that. So let's get back to it. And obviously that's for Apple and iPad. You can download that app I think it's already on there if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, in Procreate you can use that to do the tracing of it. I used the photo as a bottom layer and then created a secondary layer on top and just traced and did whatever I can see. So in Procreate I went ahead and doodled everything in white. In that way it would be easier for me to see and make sure that I didn't miss any spots. And then when I was done, I went ahead and just changed all of the white to black. And then this here, the letters are cut out separately. And if you notice on the cover of the original, you'll see that there is a little bit of like this piece of, like it's ripping a little bit. And so I just like flicked it up and it came up fine. That one I think is kind of tearing, but I'm gonna leave that like that. And then there's something going on with the B part, and I just like did that to it and kind of pulled it up so it shows, like a little bit of wear and tear that's on there. I know this is a weird angle. I'm sorry. I will do the screen recording in just a second, but I just wanted to give you this view as a tip. In PicMonkey, it's a little bit difficult to use an actual photo. I have, but to use it as reference to kind of, especially for a project like this. So I ended up using my phone to do it. So I basically used the erase tool in the circular shape and just shaved off the edges there and made it look like it was just like hand cut, like out of a newspaper or whatever it was supposed to look like. And then I did a search for a font. I went through a few until I found the one that has just that simple handwritten look. I'm just gonna scroll through a couple of more, but I end up using that one that's called Amatic because it has that slenderness to it, but it is a little too slender for what I want it to look like. So I make it bigger and I do combine those two layers. So the letter B and the tile, you'll see me grab both or highlight both of them. When I grab them both, I do widen it so that it fits what I want it to look like. I think it looks similar, right? The smudges are made in PicMonkey. There is a draw feature on there, and I used I think it was is it paint spray or some sort of a spray feature, and I was able to use that with a gray to create some smudges on here, which is what you see on top. So let's start with getting the lips on the front cover. I end up going to look for kisses and or kiss, and I just choose them what I want from there. And this is the same option that I choose when I did the back cover as well. I just grabbed all of those that you see there. So one by one, for reference really, I grab all of the tiles and I place them where they're supposed to be and around the size that they're supposed to be. That way I know where to put that set of lips. All right, I'm gonna fast forward really quick so don't get dizzy. Hold on. Okay, now that that's done, I think I'm going to change the lips. I think I don't like the one that I picked originally because the mouth was just open a little too wide. So I'm going to grab this one and add 3 layers on top of one another. That's just to thicken it, to fill in a lot of the gaps, because I didn't like a lot of the gaps. So I do end up going to the draw option, and what I did is filled in some of the white dots that you see in those lips because I want them to be a little bit more solid. So once I got that all done, then I just swapped out the old ones for those ones. Okay, let's look at the original again. So there is a little bit of the smudging that's going on in around the lips, so we're going to do that. So again, using the draw feature, we're going to do the spray paint option, and we're going to just look for that red tone that I wanted and find the size that I need, the hardness and the strength that I need, and just smear it all up in there. Using the erase tool, we're going to go in with our settings and we're going to start filling in those lips a little bit just to make them fuller, and then we'll go get the eraser again and lighten it up all over. And then we'll go back and just take all the letters out, change the background to white. I'm going to recreate some lost footage that I had. We're going to do the grungy, smudgy thingy behind the doodling. So again, with the draw feature, we're going to use the spray paint option and choose our settings and our shade. I'm going to end up pulling in the photo again just so that you can see where the grunginess is, and then that'll help with knowing where to put the grungy, smudgy stuff on. But again, I think it's always easier to have that photo on your phone and hold it up instead of having a separate window or a separate picture pulled up in PicMonkey, because it's kind of difficult. Like you'll see here that I'll do half of the top of the book, and then I'd have to apply that, remove the picture, and then do a separate bottom of the book and get the smudges and stuff on there. And the shade is a little bit off, but basically you want to do the photo separately, like on your phone or tablet, and then create all of the smudges on there so it's all pretty cohesive with shade, size, things like that. So I just end up like I've done before, did the smudges on the edges and around some parts of the doodling where it looks like it is on the original book. So let's just fast forward and to completion here. As I finish this up, as a side note, just wanted to mention that the smudging, smearing, the grungy part is going to be lightened up at the very end of it. I don't like how dark it is, so I do change that. Because I'm going to be printing this off of my printer, I will cut this at 8.5 by 11. Okay. Yes. Success. Okay, so I like it so far. I really do like it. And then I created the side or the back here. There is, in PicMonkey, there is some, if you do a search for lips or kisses, a lot of these will come up. There's about 5 different ones. And so I used that to kind of put back here as best as I could in the arrangement that it was on the original burn book. Again, I'm going to recreate a lost clip, so I'm sorry. I'm just going to add all of them on here, all of the lipstick ones on here, and spread them out. And what I want to show you here too is that on PicMonkey, you can change the sizes, the rotation. You can add layers on top of each other to just create multiple, and that's how I made it look a little bit different. I did use them multiple times on the project itself. All right, so let's move forward to, I'm going to bring in the picture so that you guys can see the grunginess around it and how it's like clean around the lips. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Now the picture that's on here is from the original, from the movie, so I'm just trying to simulate it as close as possible. So I'm going to use again the same draw feature and using the spray paint option, choosing my shade of gray. And I'm just going to go ahead and just like smear it all over around the lips and try and fill in some of the gaps and things like that. Now this is from now I had to create a whole new video clip for this particularly because I lost the original screen recording that I had. So I'm sorry, I don't know what was wrong with me for this video, but anyways, I can at least share this with you. So now I chose the eraser option and I just started to go around the lips to make it look like what it looks like on the back cover of the original. And it just looks all nice and white and makes the lips just pop. I don't know why they did it that way, but that's the way that it turns out. So that's what I did. If you don't use Canva or PicMonkey, you can also purchase a lip stamp and with some red ink. And with a pencil, you can just lightly do some shading all over the lips, and then with an eraser lightly just erase just around the lips and in the center of the lips so that you can have that clean look around, or just where the lips are, and then it'll look grungy all the way around the outside part of the lips. And then I decided that I wasn't going to do the spine, but there is, let me show you the side spine part of the burn book. So there is something there, and I don't know exactly what's on the bottom part, so I just tried my best and just I looked at the video again, or the movie, and I tried to stop it where it shows the most of it. And when I did that, I did discover that there was a little bit on the bottom. So I did create the spine, and that was a little bit difficult because I had to glue just a piece of cardstock onto a printed photocopy of it, and I taped it on there, the cardstock, and then I had to reprint it. And then I did that a couple of different times, and then I actually shrunk it again so that it would look proportionate. So I did that. So I brought in the photos so that I can do my own doodling. So I did the top part of the spine already, and I'm just gonna try and recreate the bottom portion. It's kind of blurry, but I still do my best to recreate it using the draw feature with I think it's a pencil that I used. I just doodled whatever it looked like as best as I could. Now if you're using a desktop, you're probably using or would be using the mouse to create the doodling. If you're using a laptop, I'm using a MacBook Pro, I'm just using the little pad that is underneath the keyboard here and using my finger pressing down and doodling. So it's pretty easy to do once you kind of get the hang of it. Okay, so I'm about done here. Now again I'm going to look at the top part of the spine, and starting with the smearing or the smudging that's on the spine. I'm going to do the same with the bottom, using the same features that I have in the past. And then I notice here, I'm going to use that same color of what was on the lips because if you look on the spine there, you can see on the left there is some smearing and smudging of lipstick, quote unquote. So I'm going to create that a little bit with a little bit of just a light touch of that red, and hopefully that is it. Okay, I definitely shrunk it a little bit more. What I'm doing here is trying to make sure that the proportions are right, and if not, I'll have to shrink it again. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. Okay, so I changed my mind. I went back in, I shrunk it a little more, and I felt like it's just too big, so I went and shrunk it. No. So the book, it is 9 by 17, or this is 8 by 9. Okay, so I needed to print in the middle of the paper so that I have enough to fold over and tuck in the back. It's gonna be a little bit difficult because I can't take this off. So I decided to do a little trim on the book. It is an 8x9 and I'm working on a surface of 8.5 by 11. So I need to be able to have enough to be able to tuck behind and cover the book entirely. So I'm going to grab my X-Acto guillotine cutter and try and cut this. But as you will soon see, I barely get through it. Oh no. I guess a craft knife is going to be better for this job. It's going to take quite a few cuts to get through it, but eventually I do. Because this thing is thick, like so thick. I'm just going to go ahead and just trace this out so that I can get the other side cut. I don't want to break my X-Acto because it is the best X-Acto. This is just way too thick for it. So mark this with my pencil. I'm just going to try and get a score started. And with a corner chomper, I'm just gonna chomp off all the corners. So I printed this out again. So there's a difference here, and you can tell that this is much more darker, much more shadowed and dingier than this one. I think I want to keep this one only because I don't really like how dingy that looks. Also, what I did in PicMonkey is that the layer where the dinginess was, I brought it down underneath the doodling. That way it's not like blurring anything on top, and it just looked more clear to me. I also did it without the letters so that I can print these off separate. It would be easy to just do it like this in one whole print where everything is on here, but then you don't see the white boxes. So I put in a piece of white cardstock. The thing is that if I print it, I'm not gonna know where to cut the letters at. So I can't do that. Let me see, cancel. Because you can see here, this is how, I mean, it would print on the 8.5 by 11 like this, but because it's on white cardstock, I wouldn't be able to see the edges of the white pieces. So I need Cricut to cut that. Now the position that it is on an 8.5 by 11, I don't really care as long as the size is fine. So I got it onto Cricut Design Space. Now the problem is because when I upload it onto Cricut Design Space, it comes up like super big. So I got to downsize it. But to downsize it, now I don't know what size to make what size the letters are supposed to be. See if I can figure it out somehow. So I have here about 3 from the top tip of the B to the bottom tip of the B. I have 3 5/8. I guess I should be measuring the R, this one, since it's the highest top part and this is the lowest part. All right, so the top of that R up there to the bottom of that. Measuring this way allows me to not change the proportions in Cricut, and then it gives me the right size. So then once I printed it, I got it on my mat and I ran it through my Cricut. And lo and behold, ooh, it might. So all of these letters seriously fit. I was excited and I was relieved, honestly. That'll be fine. I think that should work for the cover. I just wanted to make sure that I had like the tile, like the cutouts and stuff so that I can put it on there. So I think that'll work fine. Okay, so I already got these two. Now, like again, the gray here is like the smudginess is lighter gray, almost smoky, versus this grungy dirty. And I don't really think that that's a big deal, but then this is 9 wide, no, 7.5 wide. I want to have a half inch of this going over and half inch of this going into the spine. Okay, so 7.5. So for those of you that make mini albums, it's pretty easy to add on a design paper to a cover of an album. I think it's because we tend to like cover it with like all black, or cover it with all white, or cover it with all craft paper, and then we just cut whatever image we want to size. This here, I had to figure out how to center it onto the page, so it was a little bit difficult for me. I don't make mini albums a lot, but I think that I was finally able to get it. And there might be an easier way to even put this paper on, but I guess I wanted to make it look like really good and beautiful for my niece, because I love her. So I just tried my best to really make it centered, make it look nice and clean, and yeah, I think at the end it did. So I was pretty happy with that. Now, hindsight, watching this video back, I probably didn't need to use the corner chomper, because I end up, it looks actually squared at the end of it while I'm doing this when I'm doing the corners of the book. I do add the extra glue just so that it sticks really well, because I don't want any of this to lift. So I do use my tacky glue for that. And I do burnish a lot as I'm adding on the paper. I did try to do some like fitting with the copy paper with the image on it, and that way I can use the creases to kind of help guide me, so that I can make my lines on the pink paper so that I can fit it onto the cover. Yeah, it was so fun making this though. I think the hardest part was really just making all the paper fit, which is kind of funny, because you would think that would be the easy part, just putting it all on, but just to center it was kind of nerve-wracking for me. I don't know why, but it was. So finally I got that. And I think the imagery, just because I'm used to PicMonkey, I've been using it for like 10 years now. You can totally do this on Canva if you use Canva. I haven't switched over yet, but I think I'm going to, because there's so much more features and options on Canva. So if you do want to start doing a little bit of graphic design, I would actually recommend you go to Canva. There are a lot more options for imagery and stuff. So, but you know, it's totally up to you. You do have to get membership to be able to use a lot of the features that I've used here in PicMonkey. So just be aware of that, and watch tons of tutorials, because there's not a whole lot for PicMonkey out there, but I do try to share with you guys what I know to do on PicMonkey when I make my invitations, when I make anything that has to do with graphics. I do try to show that to you. So if you have any questions though, if you want to do TryMonkey, or if you do want to try PicMonkey, leave me a question down below. I'd be happy to answer what I can. I'm not a pro, I just use what I need. So anyways, I did try here to make sure that I can hide some of that extra paper that was sticking out. So I do, you know, trim the tops and the sides just a tiny bit. I think this part may have been almost the easiest to center. So what I did there too was fold in the edges so that it looks clean instead of just a cut look. So that's why I folded those in, and to not make it so wide when I added onto the spine of the book here. And then on the inside, I did line it, because I don't know what the inside really looks like. They really just showed some of the photos that they did and stuff. I did cut some paper. Actually, it's the exact same paper, but this is textured. I don't know how much of it you can see. see some texture on the paper. And on the reverse side, there is no texture, but it does look like you can see little, like, not flecks, but like a modeling kind of. So I used the back side, and I wanted to use the back side instead of the linen side or the textured side, because I had like 6 pieces of 12 by 12, and I used almost all of it up. And the last piece that I had to cover this, I think it was this back side. Yeah. To cover this backside, one of the ones that I was throwing away that was textured, so I just flipped it over and I reused it because I didn't have any more of the 12 by 12 sizes to use. The last one I used was for this inside part. So I cut it long enough or big enough to kind of tuck as much as I could underneath the binder rings. And then I cut a few, I don't even know how many pages this is, of some white cardstock and hole punched it, and there we go with the burn book. I actually really like how it came out. I didn't think it was gonna look so nice. Yeah, so there's my burn book. I hope you guys liked this project. I thought it was fun. All right, you guys, have a good one. Bye.